Hello, good morning, everyone. This is Ross Carpri again with Keller Williams Vestavia. We're going to come to you today. I've got Andy Gagliano on the line with me as well with Gagliano Mortgage, and we're going to talk about a few things in the real estate business that you might be of interest to. And Andy, what do you have on board for us today?
Yeah, so I saw a interesting article this past week that was talking about what the National Association of Realtors is calling an inventory surplus. So they're saying inventory nationwide is up something like 20%. And it kind of made me think that if a buyer is reading that article and they're wanting to buy in certain markets and they're thinking that, oh, there's a lot of inventory out there, and so sellers are going to be willing to negotiate. If they're using that as kind of a blanket thought, what would your recommendation be as a realtor? You're the expert in this, and you see what's going on in individual markets. And so if I were looking to buy and I came to you and I said, Ross, hey, I just saw this article. It came across my telephone and I read it. It said that inventory is up nationwide 20%, that there's not a lot of buyers in the market right now. I really think, I found this house that I like. It's over in Mountain Brook. And I think I want to put an offer in on this house and come in 5% or 10% below list price, because these sellers are just sitting on these houses right now. What would your thought or your comment to me be if I said something like that to you, if I was in the house coming into the housing market?
Well, one of the things that I look at, that national average is just that national average that encompasses from East Coast to West Coast. And what I typically look at when someone likes a home, when I'm taking buyers out and they love a home, Ross, we really like this home. I really want to do what I can to get it. We have to look at each individual home as an individual. In other words, how much activity's been on the house? Has it been just sitting there without anybody looking at it? That's one thing. If it's had 10 or 15 or 20 showings, there's a great chance that somebody else is going to try to bid for it as well. Mm-hmm. So we have to look at the circumstances for each particular home. There's some homes that have 10 showings the first day. And then there's other homes that might go 3 or 4 days without a showing. And depending on the price point and the value of the home, in other words, how well it looks, what the condition it's in, you have to look at that as well. And let's just say you find a house that you really love. If it's been shown a lot of times, we have to talk to the agent, kind of find out, are they working on any offers, or if we have multiple offers. All that plays a part in it. And just think about it logically, Andy. If you're a seller and you have multiple offers you're looking at, the last thing you want is a lowball offer to come through. Yeah. That's just like, these people just want to see what they can get it for. They're not really serious buyers. So they're going to focus more on the ones that are close to list price or the conditions are favorable to them. I've had homes where buyers will tell me, hey, look, what's important to the seller? And if the seller says, well, I haven't found a house, so if you can give me a couple of weeks to find a home, that would be a plus for me. Well, if you're a buyer and you can afford to do that, then you can make the closing date 2 months out to give them time to find a home. And as a seller, I'm looking at these offers and I'm going to think, okay, now wait a minute. John Doe over here wants to move in 2 weeks. We can't do that because then we'll have to go somewhere remote. Then we'll have to move again, and I don't want to do that. Mr. and Miss Smith over here is willing to, they want to buy the house close to what we're asking for it, and they're going to give me 2 months to get out. That's more favorable to me as a seller because I know I should be able to find what I'm looking for in that amount of time and not have to move but one time. That's what plays a part in price. You can't really look at the national average and say, well, national average says 10% below list price. Can't look at that, because if just as soon as you do that and you try to get that home for, 10% less, somebody else is going to make an offer for more money and they're going to get the house and you're not going to. And then you have to explain that to your family and your wife and everybody else that's involved. So I would just say to be cautious. Look, it's okay to have that knowledge in hand, but I really think you need to look at the specific home you're looking at, the area you're looking at. If there are a lot of homes for sale, okay. If this house number A doesn't work out, I can go to B next door. I love
Right.
the neighborhood and I want to stay in this neighborhood. If I can't get house A, I'll go to house B. But you really have to look at each individual home separately and not let that play a part in it, because you're going to get the house if you put in a reasonable offer. Most sellers are trying to think about it. They're trying to capitalize and get the most they can for their house. And you as a buyer is trying to get it for the cheapest price. So there's kind of a tug of war going on. And at some point in time, we all have to come to a point to agree. And if we do that, then everybody's happy.
Right.
But to sit there and think that, well, housing, they say on the news that housing's sellers are taking a 10% cut. That's not, I wouldn't put faith in that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how you really drilled it down to a specific listing. And, I know a lot of times there's no real rhyme or reason for this, or it doesn't seem to be on the surface, how you could have two houses on the same street right next door to each other come on the market on the same day, priced identically, and the houses are almost identical, and one of them has a lot more interest than the other. And it just, it's kind of weird how stuff like that happens. And so it really is, you and I talk, and especially here lately, we've talked a lot about not focusing so much on the national numbers as much as it is focusing on individual markets.
Right.
The market in Calera is much different than the market in Vestavia.
Absolutely.
You can't have that same approach, but even going that much more specific and talking about specific homes within certain markets is really the way to do it. And that's great input. And I just want to say, to anybody watching this, that's why having a realtor is so important. And you get someone with Ross's level of experience on your side who can help you and guide you to know that, hey, this is a hot property. There's been 5 listings on this, or I'm sorry, 5 showings on this listing, and there are 3 offers coming in on the first day that it's on the market.
Right.
And for you as a buyer to be able to have that kind of expertise and Ross representing you and guiding you along the way with that, with his knowledge and experience in the real estate industry, there is no price that someone could pay that would be too much for that kind of service. And so, to me, I think it's very key. And I'm glad you brought that up about specific homes.
Yeah. Well, think about it. If you've got, let's just compare, like you just said earlier, Chelsea, Calera, somewhere down south to Vestavia. If you look at it and put side by side, obviously Vestavia homes are going to be pricier because the property taxes are higher. The schools are, I won't say they're better. Schools are well known and renowned.
Right.
A lot of families have grown up in Vestavia and they want their kids, and now they want their grandkids, and they want all these people to go to the same schools. I mean, all that plays a part in it. And if it was true that, people say, well, you can buy more house for your money if you go further south. That's true, but you won't have the amenities that you will have normally if you bought in, say, Vestavia or Homewood Hoover, or any of those reputable places.
Mhm.
So that plays a part. I know a lot of people say, well, I got to be in the Hoover school system. Okay, well, that comes with a price.
Right.
And if you want to be in the Hoover school system, then you're going to have to look at what's available in that school system and then base it on what your likes and dislikes are. Price is not going to be cheap, but if you're able to find one that you qualify for and you can buy it, then you're ahead of the game. You've bought where you want to buy. You're in the school system for your kids. Everybody's happy. And
Yeah.
that's what you have to look at. Because if you look and say, well, I can get more house for my money in Chelsea. Well, that's true. True. Absolutely true. But you know, every time you get in your car and you have to go downtown, that drive is not going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
And there's going to come a time that people will say, well, you know what? I think we need to get closer in because my kids want to go to Vestavia or wherever, and this is just too far for me. So
Yeah.
that plays a part in it. And that's what drives people to certain areas. Because I've always wondered that myself. What brought you to Mountain Brook? Okay.
Mhm.
You got property taxes are through the roof. You've got, property values are a lot higher. But here's what you have to look at in places like that. A lot of family money is in Mountain Brook. And what I mean by that is you have these executives who have children. Well, the children grew up in the Mountain Brook system, and I'm not picking on Mountain Brook. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I'm using that as an example. A lot of people my kids grew up in Mountain Brook. My grandkids, I want them to grow up in Mountain Brook. We can walk to the school, blah, blah, blah. All the things that you look for in a neighborhood, in a house, in a subdivision. So they're not looking in Vestavia or Hoover or Chelsea or Clear or whatever. They know where they want to live. And that's what you have to look at. Where do you want to live? Tell me. And if you're open to anywhere, then we'll try to find different areas and compare. But most of the time, people know, I don't really want to go that far down. I don't want to go to Shelby County. I don't want to go here.
Yeah.
So, and we have to just kind of base your needs and your criteria on that, and look at that, break it down to that, so that we can better fit with what you need.
Yeah. Yeah. Very well put, and some great points in what you were saying. So I hope that the people watching this have gotten some good knowledge out of this. And that's what you get when you bring in a realtor like Ross into your transaction. He's going to be working hard to protect you and give you the best advice and best guidance along the way. And so, Ross, if someone wants to get in touch with you about representing them to buy a house or even to sell a house, because it works the same way for sellers,
Absolutely.
how can they do that?
They can call me at 205-601-0123. You can either call or text. And I would love to just sit down with you and kind of go over what your needs are and how I can best help you to achieve those.
Yeah.
And you can give them your numbers too, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can be reached at 205-979-4412. I'm at extension 1. And I will say this, I am locking interest rates for buyers below 6% with no discount points and no origination fee. So the rates are good right now. We've been told for 3 years now that if rates got down below 6%, we'd see a surge of buyers. Starting to see that a little bit, but it is springtime as well. So the housing market's starting to heat up just because it's spring, or getting to be close to spring. It feels like spring this week.
Right.
Yeah, going to be almost 80 degrees today.
Yeah, and then 4 or 5 days from now,
40.
it might be freezing again. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be in the mid 40s on Monday.
Yeah.
but it's going to heat right back up again and be in the mid 70s a few days after that. Is it just Alabama weather?
That's the time we're in. That's it.
Yeah. So, if someone wants to get in touch with me to get pre-approved, I'd be more than happy to help. And, we can get you in touch with Ross and let him represent you on the real estate side and get you fixed up.
Well, folks, just keep this in mind. Between Andy and myself, we will definitely get it done for you. So don't hesitate to call either one of us, and we'll be more than happy to do that.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right.
Well, very good.
Thank you,
Well-
Bud. I appreciate your time, and any questions come up, you let me know.
I'll sure do it. Thank you, Ross. I'll see you next week.
All right, you too. Take
All
care.
right. Bye.